Cosmic horror is a genre difficult to get right. But in 2018, the movie Annihilation, directed by Alex Garland, gave us an experience that is arguably cosmic horror at its best. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how they did that. We'll go through the elements that they used, we'll examine the themes that gave it depth, and we'll break down notable moments layer by layer. At the end, we'll discuss how Annihilation understood the assignment and just made us feel what cosmic horror really is. But to truly understand the end, we have to understand the beginning first, which is marked by a mysterious object crashing into a lighthouse. We then switch to Lena being interrogated by officials in the facility that was monitoring the shimmer, the area that the mysterious object created. The movie is basically being told by Lena, who is the only one who has returned from the shimmer intact. But maybe that's debatable, and at the end we'll see why. We see that before all this, she was a normal biology teacher who, after her class, a creepy guy who gets a bit too close tries to invite her to a barbecue he and his wife are throwing. She declines the invite, saying that she needs to paint her room. He tries to peer pressure her by telling her that she's become a recluse after the disappearance of Kane, her husband. Lena walks away, and we flash forward a bit to when she starts painting the room. The next part is really satisfying because it's as if we're giving the creepy guy a middle finger as Kane walks into the room. She hugs him, and then we jump to them talking in the kitchen and Lena asking why he just disappeared for over a year. However, she struggles to get any answers. It's clear that Kane was disoriented and something was just off. The blood pouring out of his mouth probably wasn't helping as well. Lena calls the ambulance, and this is when they are apprehended and taken to the facility overseeing the shimmer. There, she meets Ventress, who tries to interrogate her. She tries to flip the switch and gets surprised when Ventress was more than willing to give as many answers as she could. She takes advantage of this and tries to dig in deeper and asks where Kane went. It is here that Lena is first shown the shimmer. She wants more answers, and Ventress is more than willing to give her as many as she wants, but given that they know almost nothing at all about what's inside, there's nothing much she could give. What they did know was that the shimmer was expanding faster and faster, and it would eventually engulf the world. They knew that it was probably being caused by a being of a higher dimension, and that Kane was the only one who has ever returned, maybe not intact, but as whatever he was. She then demands to see Kane and finds him unresponsive and covered in life support. When asked what she wants to do, Lena answers that she just wants to stay by Kane's side. However, the night that followed changes her mind. You see, Lena gets to know the next team that was about to enter the shimmer and learns that it was basically a one-way mission. She puts all the pieces together and figures out why Kane volunteered to go. With this revelation, she visits the unresponsive Kane and assures him that she knows what to do. We jump to the moment just before the team, now with Lena and led by Ventress, enters the barrier of the shimmer. Now, while the real roller coaster ride is about to start, there were a ton of events that you only get to really appreciate after a few rewatches of the film. The first is when Lena was teaching her class and she was actually teaching them how cancer cells work and replicate. It seems trivial at first, but these actually show how grounded we are in this reality or dimension. Up to this point, that was basically what the story was trying to do. It's setting the stage by showing us the nature of the world through illustrating how cells work. That in itself grounds us in this plane of existence. Also, the cool thing here is that having it show a cancer cell serves so many thematic functions that will be revealed later on in the movie. But I'll give you an example right now. You see, there are a lot of flashbacks in this movie. It mostly shows that the relationship of Kane and Lena was particularly strong, which initially adds to the mystery of why he volunteered. But those flashbacks of a happy couple is immediately put into question after they first step into the shimmer. You see, the team is rendered almost unconscious and only becomes lucid after a few days, or so they think. During this blank period, we are shown a flashback of Lena having an affair with the creepy dude at the start of the movie. Lena wakes up, seemingly having dreamed the flashback. From this moment on, we jump back and forth from Lena recounting her time with the team in the shimmer and the officials interrogating her in the facility more often. She explains to them that the mutations and strange occurrences grew more and more extreme the closer they got to the shimmer. Okay, so what Lena said was actually an understatement. That's because the slow burn that it took for them to get into the shimmer actually ramps up really fast. One after another, something otherworldly gets in their way. But the strangest part here is that it begins with something beautiful. The first anomaly that they see is a plant growing along a platform. If you're like me, you wouldn't even have noticed it. But Lena, being a scientist, points out that it was highly improbable that different kinds of flowers would grow from one plant. Almost immediately, Radek gets attacked by a giant crocodile. Lena saves the team by using her experience from the army and puts the crocodile down. Unsurprisingly, this isn't a normal crocodile either. Much like the flowers, it was already mutated. It was a hybrid of a crocodile and a shark. They then move on and reach an abandoned military base that the previous team seemingly used as their headquarters. Once they enter, they find moss-like mutations growing outside the facilities. They continue on to the mess hall, and there they find the videotape of the previous team where Kane was included, with a message to watch it. However, as they played the video on the camcorder, it showed Kane opening up one of his team members while he was still alive. Inside this team member, we see his insides slither like a worm. It's here that we first get a glimpse of one of the staples of cosmic horror, body horror. I talk about it more in this video, so please check it out if you have the time. This very sight was horrifying enough to trigger the mental collapse among Lena's team members, the most notable one being Anya. As if it wasn't enough, Ventress then goes to look for the room where the recording happened. There, they actually find Kane's teammate, now an amalgam of flora and fauna, mostly mold, growing into the walls of an empty swimming pool. His body, now twisted, warped, and deformed. Radek and Anya wants out now, but it's too late as the sun was going down. That night, we see that Lena is unable to sleep and instead takes a sample of her own blood and checks if it's changed. It has. And now, we see the second cell marker for the story. Lena and the team have now been changed, and as Lena said, that change will spread as if following a beat. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, and 4 to 8, and so on. Like I said, Radek and Anya wanted to go back, but they can't. None of them can. Not because night has come, but because they have all passed the point of no return. All of them are now changed forever. I can imagine how much harder it is to sleep now than it was before. As such, Lena goes to see Ventress, who's on guard duty. It's here that Lena receives a massive revelation. They talk, and Ventress implies that Kane developed self-destructive tendencies when he found out about Lena's affair. However, before Lena could even reply, something breaks through the fence of the base. Shepard, the first one to respond to what was happening, goes to Lena and Ventress. It's here that out of the darkness, a large and unnatural bear grabs her and drags her away screaming. The morning after, the team gets into an argument with Radek and Anya wanting to backtrack and retreat. But Ventress doesn't care. She leaves the group and heads for the lighthouse by herself. Anya and Lena then get into an argument with Lena lying to them, saying that the safest path is to get out through the beach because they were closer to the lighthouse. They believe her, but Anya gets more mentally fractured. Once they catch up with Ventress, somewhere along the way they see the severed leg of Shepard. Lena, being the most combat ready, volunteers to go find her. However, since they're closer to the lighthouse, more otherworldly stuff is happening around them. She spots a deer with branches growing out of its head. But that's not all. As she watches the deer, it splits into two, the other looking like a rotten version of the original. This, again, alludes to cancer and how cells replicate at an increasing rate. Eventually, it split so fast that it just split into another being. She eventually finds Shepard's body behind the tree and confirms it with the team. They continue on, settling down in an evacuated village by the lighthouse. Little did they know that this is where the craziest stuff was going to happen. Right as they approach an abandoned house where they decide to stay, they see plants in the shape of people. Lena and Radek go to investigate, and here they finally discover what the shimmer really is. Radek goes on to explain that the shimmer is a prism that refracts everything inside, from the signals of their communications equipment right down to their DNA. It refracts everything. Shocked by this discovery, Anya becomes increasingly unhinged. It's in this house that we see the third cell marker for the story. Like I said, despite the slow burn of the start, once it catches fire, it spreads fast. Lena sees that her blood cells are almost unrecognizable, and she herself almost falls into despair. However, even with all the oddities going on, doesn't it seem to track? The change in their cells is a reflection of the change in their environment. It's proportional. I'll tell you what though, it doesn't seem that way to Anya because she suddenly screams at the sleeping Lena only to knock her out again and tie her up. I don't know, if that isn't mentally broken, I don't know what is. It's here that Anya is able to surmise that Kane was Lena's husband and accuses her and Ventress of killing Shepard. Now this is a symptom of a mental state or condition called cognitive dissonance. I talk about it more in this video, so you can check it out if you want. As Lena and the others are tied up, they witness Anya experience a mental breakdown. It's revealed that she's been mutating already and that her fingernails are moving on their own. However, she shifts back her focus on Lena wanting to dissect her like Kane did his teammate in the video. Right at that moment, they hear Shepard calling out for help. After an I told you so moment by Anya, she runs to save her. But the turns have been tabled and it was actually the bear's roar. It attacks Anya and goes for the other three. Right before it bites Radek, Anya goes out in a blaze of gory, Scarface style, and unloads her gun on the bear. It didn't really do anything, but it gets Anya killed. Right before the bear eats Lena, Radek is able to get free and headshots the bear. Immediately after this, Ventress leaves for the lighthouse, apparently experiencing the same thing as Anya, saying that they were already disintegrating. However, instead of going with her, Lena and Radek hang back and try to take in everything that's happened. Radek decides that she doesn't want to go in a violent way and walks into a field where the plant people were and blossoms into one herself. It's here that I have to ask you to notice how each member handled cognitive dissonance. Radek embraced the change and changed into something else entirely. Ventress chose solitude and was left alone until the end. Anya broke down both in body and mind. For Shepard, she buried her grief under and was swept away by it. It was only Lena that had any real reason to go back, and it was Kane, and that grounded her in this reality. That said, Lena was still pushed to her breaking point. She reaches the lighthouse alone, and inside she finds one of the last recordings of Kane and the Shimmer. She finds it and finds that the real Kane was no more, and that the Kane outside was a doppelganger. She ventures further inside where Kane went before he died, and there she finds Ventress transcending or combining with a being of a higher dimension. There, she says, "It's not like us. It's unlike us. I don't know what it wants, but it'll grow until it encompasses everything. Our bodies and our minds will be fragmented into their smallest parts until not one part remains." Annihilation. However, right after saying this, it's as if she experiences the event itself. Light bursts forth from her mouth like vomiting a golden rainbow. The chunks of light begin forming patterns around Lena, like a radiant kaleidoscope that threatens to engulf her with its light. In front of her, a ball of dark clouds and light almost resembling a seed begins to form. She stares right at the center of it and blankly begins to draw closer. A drop of blood from her eyes float into the object. And remember the cell markers? Well, this is the final one, and it is unlike the others. It multiplies not by the beat we know, 1, 2, 4, or 8. It divides and replicates at a rate so blindingly fast that in mere seconds, an otherworldly body stands at the spot that it once was. Lena starts unloading her gun on the being, almost panicked. But I don't think it's for the reason that you would expect. At this point, she already accepted what the Shimmer can do. She's seen the flower, the alligator, the bear, the deer, and most of all, Kane. And I think, at a certain level, she knows what's coming next. As her gun runs empty, she runs towards the exit of the lighthouse. But the being seemingly teleports in between her and the door. She tries to fight it off, but is knocked out multiple times. As time passes, the being takes on Lena's shape, almost becoming a perfect copy. She finally beats it by taking advantage of how it was mimicking her and tricks it into holding a grenade that she pulled the pin off. The grenade goes off and consumes the doppelganger. But why didn't the being run towards the door just like Lena did? And why did it stand there just for the grenade to burn it? Well, there is a lot of symbolism to factor in that is almost diegetic to the movie. Just like the way Lena and the being moved as if they were dancing, the interplay between metaphor and theme intertwined with each other at this moment. In the same way Kane shared some of his traits with his doppelganger, Lena's copy shared the guilt of what she did to her husband. It's a bit of a bummer, right? Imagine you're this being from a higher dimension and you're just trying to get a body to be able to function in this one. And you finally get one, it's so racked up with guilt that you get infected by it. Anyway, the TLDR version is that it's not until she accepts the eldritch being taking her form and copying her is she able to beat it. Lena runs out of the lighthouse. The being, still burning, goes to Kane's body and caresses his face. The being spreads a fire across the roots of the lighthouse, and along with the rest of the Shimmer, it burns. Lena, outside of the lighthouse, watches as everything burns around her. We then got to the facility as they try to understand what happened. Lena can't really explain it, but the interrogator interprets it as an act of aggression by the being. Lena denies this and says it wasn't destroying, it was changing everything. It was making something new. She asks about Kane and is given the good news that he is now responsive. They are once more reunited, but as Lena approaches him, she asks if he is really Kane. He says he doesn't know and asks her the same question. She doesn't answer. This is all a metaphor for so many things. I believe that in this movie, it was all about self-destruction to ultimately change into something new. Similar to how muscle fibers break and heal into something stronger. The movie blended metaphors, themes, and narrative devices so well that it just stays with you. But even then, it plays into the genre conventions. Because the last element of cosmic horror that Annihilation captured so well is the element of ambiguity. The implications, what now questions. These are seeds that cosmic horror plants in our minds. Who knows what these ideas could turn into once we've accepted these. Now, all of this is part of a series that I'm calling Comprehending Cosmic Horror. If you want to see more, please click on this video. And until then, peace and have a nice day.